Hello everyone and welcome to another module of Economics and Law 1. I am Dr. Ankit Shrivastava, Assistant Professor of Law at RGNUL Punjab. Today we are going to discuss the topic relating to the economics of retribution and deterrence. Over the last half century, the notion of punishment, its explanation and actual requests and reasoning have provided a clear picture of how hard work transforms and socializes wrongdoers in favor of vengeance and imprisonment. Punishment is today regarded as an important revengeful behavior, regardless of the added function of revenge as a motivation or goal of punishment. A sufficient affirmation of punishment would continue to demonstrate that society values the risk. Punishment is used when the goal of a social decree is not met or when it is unjust to expect victims of unlawful violent behavior to accept the expenses of their unfair treatment. Restrictions on the use of vulnerable penalties are crucial, given the ways in which consultants and supremacy can be mistreated. Now let's talk about the meaning of punishment. So in the dictionary, the phrase punish implies the cause someone to suffer as a result of a crime or unlawful behavior, or to impose a penalty as punishment for an infraction. In criminal law, punishment refers to any pain, penalty, or suffering inflicted on a person by the power of the law, as well as the court's judgment for a crime committed by him or his exclusion from a duty granted by law. Punishment upholds the rule of law and protects both the individual and their property. The criminal refrains from wrongdoing out of fear of punishment. Hence, punishment and law are inseparable. The notion of punishment is also recognized in the Dharma Kshetra. In the Hindu Shastra, the ruler had the authority to punish the wrongdoer or lawbreaker while protecting the law follower. Thus, it is apparent that punishment is one of the oldest methods of regulating crime and criminality. The purpose of the penalties changes with time. The methods for carrying out punishments have also been adjusted to respect human rights. As we reflect on our past, we discover that the death penalty was imposed for minor offences, but it was only used in rare situations. There are still some civilizations that practice old kinds of cruel punishment, but the punishment has developed with civilization and is now less brutal. Now let's talk about the theories of punishment. Theories of punishment sentencing the guilty people is most important, albeit a difficult chapter in a trial. Theories of punishment are: first one is retribution theory. Let us now discuss the concept of retribution in the context of criminal justice. Retribution refers to administering punishment or vengeance in response to a crime committed. It advocates for a form of justice where offenders receive punishment proportional to the harm they cause society or individuals. Often likened to revenge, retribution distinguishes itself as a public act rather than a private one. This theory asserts that offenders deserve punishment as a consequence of their actions, emphasizing the principle of an eye for an eye. It is considered one of the oldest principles of criminal punishment, rooted in historical and religious texts such as the Bible, which mandates penalties like death for certain offences. The philosophy of retribution asserts that those who harm society must bear the consequences of their actions. Thereby, maintaining societal order and justice. The second theory is deterrent theory. Moving forward, let us delve into the concept of deterrence in criminal justice. Deterrence aims to dissuade individuals from committing crimes by instilling fear or anxiety about the potential consequences. It functions as a warning or preventive measure intending to discourage unlawful actions through the threat of punishment. Utilitarian in nature, deterrent theory evaluates punishments based on their ability to prevent crime and protect societal welfare. It posits that the prospect of punishment deters individuals from engaging in criminal behavior, thereby promoting public safety and reducing criminal acts. Deterrence theory operates on the premise that individuals are rational decision makers who weigh the potential costs and benefits of their actions, opting to avoid criminal behavior when the perceived risks outweigh the rewards. The next theory is prevention theory. Let us consider prevention theory and its role in criminal justice. Prevention theory focuses on mitigating future criminal behavior by isolating offenders from society. It aims to protect the community from harm by incapacitating criminals through confinement, execution, or other means of incapacitation. This theory views punishment as a means of preventing future crimes rather than exacting retribution for past offences. By removing offenders from society, prevention theory seeks to eliminate their ability to commit further crimes and safeguard public safety. It emphasizes the community's right to self-protection and argues that preventing crime is a more effective and humane approach than solely seeking retribution. The fourth theory is reformative theory. Let us explore reformative theory and its approach to criminal justice. Reformative theory aims to rehabilitate offenders by addressing the root causes of criminal behavior and promoting their reintegration into society as a law-abiding citizens. Advocates of reformative justice believe in the potential for individuals to change and improve through education, treatment, and support during their incarceration. This theory focuses on transforming offenders into productive members of society by equipping them with the skills and values necessary to lead lawful lives. Reformative justice emphasizes the rehabilitation of offenders rather than punishment for its own sake, viewing imprisonment as an opportunity for personal growth and positive behavioral change. It underscores society's interest in fostering rehabilitation and reducing recidivism rates through supportive and rehabilitative interventions. Now let's talk about the economic analysis of retribution. Retribution is grounded in the principles of just deserts, where punishment is seen as a rightful response to wrongdoing. According to this theory, individuals are held accountable for their actions and punishment serves to restore a sense of justice within society. Bentham posited that retribution is not driven by a desire for revenge but rather by a community's need to denounce crime and reaffirm societal welfare. The core tenets: justice and economic exchange. Now, continuing our discussion, retribution challenges conventional economic views that portray criminals as rational actors solely driven by self-interest. It introduces justice as a motivating factor, asserting that individuals also value fairness and social order. When crimes disturb this order, retribution demands proportional punishment to rebalance the scales. Consider a scenario where individual A steals from individual B. From an economic standpoint, A gains while B loses. Retribution seeks to rectify this imbalance by imposing a punishment on A, such as imprisonment or fines, that reflects the harm caused, thereby restoring economic and moral equilibrium. Costs and benefit of retribution. A balancing act. Moving forward, let us weigh the economic costs and benefits associated with retribution. While retribution provides a moral justification for punishment, it also imposes significant economic burdens. Incarceration, for instance, demands substantial resources for housing, feeding, and securing inmates. Additionally, rehabilitation programs and victim compensation further escalate costs within a retributive system. Nevertheless, retribution can yield economic benefits. A strong sense of justice promotes social cohesion and trust, potentially reducing crime rates and associated economic costs like property damage and lost productivity. Moreover, just punishments might deter repeat offences, thereby lowering long-term costs related to reassert, incarceration, and victimization. Now let's talk about economic critiques of retribution, in which we'll be talking about challenges and consideration. So continuing our analysis, economists debate the quantifiability of justice's value. Unlike tangible costs, the societal benefits of a just system are challenging to measures in monetary terms. Moreover, some argue that retribution may not efficiently deter crime, particularly crimes driven by desperation or impulse. Furthermore, achieving proportional justice poses challenges. Determining suitable punishments involves subjective assessments of factors like crime severity and offender circumstances, potentially leading to disparities in justice application across demographic groups. Hence, the economic analysis of retribution underscores its role in shaping the criminal justice system. While not purely focused on economic efficiency, retribution offers a compelling rationale for punishment based on principles of fairness and societal order. Acknowledging its economic costs and limitations prompts consideration for a balanced approach that integrates deterrence strategies with the pursuit of just outcomes. Ultimately, exploring retribution economically invites a deeper reflection on the value we place on justice and its attainment within the constraints of resource allocation. Now let's talk about the economic analysis of deterrence. So let us delve into the economic perspective of deterrence within the framework of crime and punishment. Deterrence theory posits the threat of punishment serves as a deterrent against criminal behavior. By increasing the perceived cost of crime, such as the likelihood of being caught, convicted, and punished, deterrence aims to reduce crime rates and enhance societal well-being. Economics perspective, rational actors, cost-benefit calculations. So, continuing our exploration, economists view criminals as rational actors who weigh the potential benefits of crime against the expected costs of punishment. Benefits may include financial gain, personal satisfaction, or the accrual of power through criminal activities. However, these potential gains are offset by the perceived risks of punishment, which include incarceration, fines, or community service. Now let's talk about the key aspects of deterrence theory. Moving forward, deterrence theory encompasses two primary aspects. First is general deterrence. This strategy aims to deter crime across the broader population. By publicizing severe punishments and achieving high conviction rates, the criminal justice system seeks to dissuade potential offenders from engaging in illegal activities. The second is specific deterrence. This approach focuses on preventing repeat offences by discouraging individual offenders through swift and certain punishments. The knowledge that further criminal acts will lead to immediate consequences serves as a deterrent factor. Now let's talk about the factors influencing deterrence. First is certainty of punishment. The likelihood of apprehension and conviction significantly affects deterrence. High certainty of punishment strengthens deterrence, whereas low likelihood weakens it. Effective law enforcement and a robust judicial system are essential for maintaining high deterrence levels. Second is punishment severity. The perceived harshness of penalties also play a critical role. While some advocate for severe punishments across the board, others argue for proportional responses based on the gravity of the offense. Excessive severity can lead to perceptions of injustice and potentially reduce deterrence effectiveness. The third is punishment celerity. Prompt punishment is more likely to deter future criminal acts. Delays between a crime's commission and its punishment reduce the deterrent effect. Streamlining legal processes can enhance the effectiveness of deterrence strategies. Fourth is offender characteristics. Individuals vary in their susceptibility to deterrence. Factors such as age, criminal history, and likelihood of recidivism influence an individual's response to deterrence measures. Tailored approaches may be necessary to effectively deter different offender groups. Therefore, the economic analysis of deterrence underscores its pivotal role in shaping behaviors and societal outcomes within the criminal justice system. Recognizing the complex interplay of these factors invites further exploration into optimizing deterrence strategies to maximize their impact on crime prevention and societal well-being. Measuring the genuine deterrent impact of punishment can be challenging. Many factors can influence crime rates, making it difficult to determine the particular impact of penalty measures. Increased police presence, economic conditions, and social initiatives all have the potential to impact crime trends. Furthermore, ethical constraints limit the capacity to carry out controlled tests for deterrence research. Artificially enhancing the harshness or certainty of punishment for research purposes presents ethical questions. This demands the use of observational data and statistical analysis, both of which have limits. Now let's talk about the economic implications and practical applications. Despite the limitations, economic research can help policymakers make deterrent judgments. Policymakers can compare the cost effectiveness of various sentencing methods. For example, a costly prison term may not be the most effective deterrent for a small offense. Investing in resources to improve crime detection and conviction rates can be a more cost-effective strategy to promote deterrence. Furthermore, economic research emphasizes the economic benefits of deterrence. Reducing crime lowers expenses connected with victimization, property damage, and security measures, resulting in considerable savings. Deterrence plays an important part in the economic study of crime. Policymakers may develop more efficient and effective crime reduction policies by studying the elements that influence criminal behavior as well as the economic consequences of punishment. However, depending only on a deterrent strategy might be hazardous. Ignoring the importance of punishment and rehabilitation may result in an unduly punishing system with declining rewards. The most successful system would likely combine parts of all three systems, balancing the aims of deterrence, retribution, and rehabilitation in a way that maximizes both economic efficiency and social fairness. Now let's talk about comparing and contrasting retribution and deterrence. An economic perspective. In the field of criminal justice, economics provides useful insights into two common grounds for punishment, retribution and deterrence. While both seek to preserve a stable and wealthy society, they use different methods. First, retribution aims to achieve justice by administering a punishment proportionate to the severity of the offense committed. It follows the notion of just deserts, which ensures a feeling of justice and proportionality between the offense and the punishment. Deterrence. Now, this prioritizes discouraging future crime by making criminal activity less appealing. It operates on the principle of rational choice, which assumes that individuals weigh potential benefits and risks before committing crimes. The fear of punishment functions as discouragement by raising the expected cost of criminal behavior. Now let's talk about the next difference, that is on economic costs and benefits. So in retribution, if we talk about costs, so governments bear enormous costs for incarceration, rehabilitation programs and victim compensation. Benefits, if we talk about, a feeling of fairness and social order promotes trust and collaboration, resulting in a more productive atmosphere. Furthermore, punishment may indirectly reduce recidivism, lowering the long-term costs associated with recurrent transgression. If we talk about deterrence on the other hand, and if we talk about costs in that, investing in law enforcement resources, effective legal systems and heavier punishment comes at a cost. And benefits, reduced crime rates result in significant savings. Less property damage, victimization and security demands result in immediate cost savings. Furthermore, deterrence can reduce the long-term economic strain on the criminal justice system. Let's talk about effectiveness of crime reduction strategies. So retribution may have indirect and limited deterrence effect. However, it may promote social collaboration, indirectly lowering crimes. Deterrence efficacy depends on the certainty, severity and timeliness of punishment. When these characteristics are strong, deterrence has the potential to drastically reduce crime. Next is synergy and trade-offs. So if we talk about synergy, the criminal justice system can combine retribution and deterrence. A reasonable and harsh penalty may deter crime better. And trade-offs, harsh sanctions for deterrence may not necessarily be perceived as purely retributive. Finding the appropriate balance between proportionality and deterrent impact can be difficult. Now let's talk about economic analysis, talking about the strengths and limitations. The economic method provides significant information on the cost effectiveness and deterrent impacts of various punishment schemes. However, there are limitations like quantifying justice. So evaluating the economic advantages of revenge is challenging due to the intangible nature of justice. Next is focus on rational choice. Not all offenders are fully rational. Emotional, desperation and mental health difficulties all have the potential to impact conduct. Both punishment and deterrence contribute to a stable economic system by preserving social order and reducing crime. While economic analysis is useful for analyzing punishment tactics, it must be supplemented with other factors like moral concerns and societal values to create the most effective and just criminal system. So to conclude it all, the economic analysis of punishment reveals the complex interplay between retribution, deterrence, and community well-being. Retribution, by stressing just deserts, generates a feeling of justice and social order, which promotes collaboration and may indirectly reduce crime. On the other hand, deterrence takes a more measured approach, attempting to deter illegal action with the prospect of punishment. Understanding the economic costs and advantages of each option allows legislators to establish a more efficient and effective criminal justice system. However, managing the economic landscape takes careful consideration. It is still difficult to quantify the value of justice, which is at the heart of retribution. Furthermore, the economic study implies that the criminals make rational decisions, which may not always be the case. As a result, establishing an ideal equilibrium necessitates moving beyond pure economics. Moral and social principles are critical to developing a fair and successful system. A culture that values restorative justice alongside retribution and deterrence can develop a more comprehensive strategy for crime reduction. This might include initiatives that address the underlying causes of crime, such as poverty, inequality, and restricted access to mental health services. Finally, the goal is to create a criminal justice system that reduces the economic cost of crime while respecting basic ideals of fairness and social order. This needs ongoing examination and adaptation based on economic insights while admitting their limits. With this, we come to the end of our today's lecture. Thank you very much.